Hello everybody, thank you for joining us. Today we're going to practice drawing a figure against a background, and we're showing it from a perspective view. So we're going that way and we're seeing if we can, and this isn't, sorry, it's an open background. It's open background, it might be like buildings, houses, canteen, whatever. So we are going to situate the figure somewhere here, background coming in a perspective sort of way. We can make it as long as we want, just down there. And we're going to make a set of things on this side. So let's just go one step at a time. We're going to construct our figure here first. So what I have chosen is perhaps to draw grab not the smudging pen here. We need to grab a different pen. So what we have put down is a sort of a detective type of figure, and we're going to momentarily create a scene. Sort of a trench coat. And if you would like to check our video in which we shared ideas on how to get around quickly while throwing in tones into clothes, you could check that out as well. And in fact, we put one out recently, if you're watching this in the same time that we have pretty much launched it. And it could be beneficial if you're looking for more accuracy in getting the tones down on clothing and a related topic. So I put down a figure in a trench coat. We are going to put down let's actually create a shadowy alleyway. Smoke rising there. Putting in another trash can there. Putting in So some, like, let's just say that there's some like strewn like garbage here. A can right there, maybe boxes, just to give it a sense of garbage. Let's raise the alleyway, going like more toward that end, and let's separate this here. Let's say that there is a sort of a door here. Now we can go in as much detail as we want, but what we're doing is just playing with a certain background to make this as quick as possible. So we have right here so we'll determine the shadows in a second of how we're going to throw those around. And then we put in, like, let's say a box here, or like could be a dumpster, could be a box. If it's a dumpster, like, we have liberty here to make this even like wider. Longer, okay, and we'll have the, now we have to show here that there is a, we're not showing that, but that there's a wall here. Put that here also if we want. Let's say that like there's a wall here, and there's a light source from above there casting a shadow, so there's shadow on this guy falling on because of the wall here, and then there's a shadow that is cast, like, let's say, like right behind him. Let's throw that on quickly. Now if we want to be mindful of some like brick texture that we want to highlight, it's very popularly done in comics. We can, or even other illustrations, it's not just comics, but even other illustrations use this method by just leaving out little bits of the texture so that it can just stand out. So this will, like, continue running that way. And we have our first cast shadow of this guy, and shadow here. Of course, shadows there. Shadows right under the drum. Now we have to remember that this wall is casting its own shadow, so we have to have some sort of tones going here into these trash cans as well. So this is also, in a way, in a manner, an able method to throw in tones from more than one source. Now we have been using the same marker and we have been trying to see that there is not too much contrast with the figure even when we are utilizing the same marker. Let's cast another shadow like right there somewhere, and of course in here like we can go put all sorts of texture as we want, make this more like expressive, like right here for instance the top, like put in those ridges. Okay, so it's filled here, and we're going to now just grab a different tool for the first time, I guess. Just keep on going, throwing in shadows, because it's like the noir kind of look here. And now, of course, in between, we can add all the crosshatch that we want. Now we can, around all these areas here, we can go about, and there are many artists who really do this, and we could keep on highlighting each and every mortar installment, brick, whatever we want to call it. Or we could just go like with some straighter crosshatch, like it's all depending on how much work we want to, additional work we want to put in. Or it can be left as is with some tones right there in between each installment there, or wherever we can throw it. Now if you see that we used a thick pen on the on the figure here, and still, even though we drew the inks like really close, and that's what we wanted to illustrate, even with the same tool still works, but conventionally we would use a thinner pen to even do the fills on this guy here. So the outlines, for example, have to be done with a thinner pen, and then perhaps some additional textures or crosshatch thrown in will make the figure stand out from the background, especially if you're doing a black and white image. Some illustrations are very are quite like convoluted, in the sense that there's like a lot going on in the back, there's a lot going on with the figure itself, and what happens is that there is like a sort of a mix-up. And so another thing that is also very popular is texture like fill out. Fill out is as in that there is, for instance, right here, you could Google images and you'll see that there's like all sorts of variations of this kind of method, but it does work. Like, it helps demarcate one shape or one object from another. For instance, just like doing that helps make that stand out from this. And of course we could concentrate the tones here, just to, I mean, if we want to, like, throw in variations of dark, light, we could concentrate the tones around like one end just by adding some subtle lines here and there, and it should work. Like, see, it's already darkened. So just some tools that we can utilize going into when we are throwing in backgrounds. Again, let's say when we're trying to, establish this as a wooden crate, and between the so adding a wood texture here to make this like stand out from the rest of the pack. So when we are doing this, of course, we can bold certain lines like that to show like wood panels perhaps, and in between that, if we wish, and of course it's all hard work, you have to throw in perhaps tones in between that, while leaving certain line work untouched to give it that texture feel. And as we go along, it's going to become more prominent. So there are some tools and tricks to getting around with backgrounds and using minimal tools. That was the real objective, using minimal tools to get around the background and throwing in a background with textures and contrast. So we hope that this was of some help. We put out content every day, so please do subscribe and keep in touch, and have yourself a wonderful day.